Welcome to another edition of In the Divide. This is Sam Houston, where we're bringing all things crypto together with Algorand. Wanted to show something to you. Hopefully this inspires you a little bit, but the ambassador, I call him this unofficial ambassador of Algorand. Let me show you this so we can both see a little news from someone who's a seasoned professional in our realm. I introduce you to some and others, the mooch.
Comparisons in March of 2020, Scott, when Bitcoin got down to about between 4,000 and 6,000, there was 70 talking about now. It's an $800 billion correction. But I think the good news about that, frankly, is because this is decentralized, you don't have any systemic risk. Secretary Yellen more or less said that this morning. And I just want you to imagine that kind of hit to the banking community, how dramatic that would be and what the Federal Reserve would need to do.
So looking at this, look, this is not financial advice. Understand this is fair use. I want to introduce you to Anthony Scaramucci, the person who, if you're on the bridge at this point in time about cryptocurrency, you need to understand what he just said about being decentralized, where everything is not connected. So it doesn't act as dominoes. Everything's not falling at one time. If we can get some of this stuff under control, crypto is going to be isolated in some regard. The only thing that's affecting us is the fear that's in the whole total market. Their structure is still the same. Some of the things need to be weeded out. Some of the organizations are not properly funded. All those things need to be weeded out because those are the weak chains in the link that is crypto.
So it's just an example of decentralization being what I would describe as less fragile than the core system. Now, having said that, this is, go ahead.
Let me just interrupt you, and I apologize, but unless we should be looking at it differently, and the way in which some of the investors that I've been speaking with have characterized it, yes, the banking system may not be the place where the pain is most acute. It may be on the everyday person sector, if you will. People who piled into crypto, they listened to all the evangelists on it. A lot of younger retail investors.
See, what this is the mainstream news is trying to create fear with the retail people. They know they can't do it with the institutions. The institutions understand long-term, but what they're trying to do is promote and trying to put the fear into retail investors. Somebody told them this, the people that, you know what, there is a segment of the crypto population that came in and didn't do their due diligence and got in and gambling and looking for the moonshots and just gambling and don't know what they're doing. Those people need to be educated, and hopefully, and not to say this is a good thing, hopefully this is something that gets them to dive in and do a little bit more due diligence, because that's the thing that made me learn. I went into stocks and all that other stuff. I went into and I dove in and thought I knew what I was doing, but until I started losing that cash and start understanding, you better do a little bit more research and understand what you're doing before you start hitting these buttons, okay? Money is losing you real.
And have had a tremendous amount of wealth wiped out as a result of the carnage that we've witnessed. And some of the people that I talked to are among the smartest I've ever spoken with. They don't know what to make of that and what that means in the biggest picture.
Well, look, of course, we can draw historical context back to March of 2000, where we saw the NASDAQ go from something like 5,000 and change down to 2,300. And so if you had leverage in this situation, then you likely incurred a permanent capital loss. But if you didn't have leverage in this situation, there were some anomalies that took place, like the Terra debacle, where I think these assets are at distress level prices. They're technically oversold. And so we haven't sold one position, frankly. Still our core fund has about 18% exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'll just point out to people, if you bought this stuff when we did back in October of 2020, these coins, were trading 18,000 or so for Bitcoin, 700 or so for Ethereum. And so if you take a long-term perspective and sort of zoom out, you can do very, very well in the cryptocurrency markets. Listen, everybody's a short-term investor when you have losses like this. You know, that
Listen to what he said. His long-term thing is so good that he, even though there's a big dip now, he's still winning. And understanding this is that the retail investors, when things like this happen, when the markets turn red, people become short-term investors. Even though they got in for the long term, all they do is fear, because the fear makes them see only the short-term losses. But like he said, if you can kind of lens out, kind of push back and see a longer view of it, your money will end up accumulating. It's going to rise. So it's one of the things that why I wanted to have this on the channel, is to give a little bit more perspective to our situation.
cliche, I'm a long-term investor, Scott, until I have short-term losses. And so I understand the panic in the markets, but what I would encourage people to think about is the two core protocols, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Zoom out, take a look at what they've done over a 5-year period of time, and recognize that there was a flaw in the Terra Luna mechanisms. Many people spoke out against it. Skybridge never owned any of those tokens, and many people spoke out against that. And of course, when that crumbled, you saw massive selling pressure. So I think this thing is technically oversold. We're long-term optimistic, and unfortunately for me, Scott, I'm getting old. This is my 8th bear market cycle. And I just want to encourage younger people that are tuning in, perhaps it's their first or second bear market cycle, to see through the carnage and recognize that there's an extraordinary opportunity ahead, like there was in March of 2000.
Latte, please.
So this is what I wanted you to see. Anthony Scaramucci, Skybridge Capital. I understand if you're part of the algorand community, you know who this is. You know this is someone who's deep into the algorand. Their money is deep into, and like you heard him say, he's not moving off one position. And understanding the long-term prognostication of cryptocurrency is on an upswing. I just wanted to drop this quick video. Go ahead and subscribe, like, hit that bell notification, hit the comment section. Let me know what you feel. Get some of your fears out. And once again, this is Sam Houston. We're hoping your tomorrow are better than your today. Peace.